Thank you guys for having Birch out. We're excited to give you an update on the company, where we stand, where we're moving into 2016, and a quick product refresher, and then finally get to that awesome promotion that we're running. So let's just go ahead and dive in. I'm going to start by making sure you know the leadership of Birch, the multiple points of contact that you have within the company. Primarily your channel managers, RCMs. We've got Erica in addition to Jason. Where's Jason?
He's still out here talking.
Outside. So Erica and Jason are channel managers that you guys can utilize, whomever's available, whoever is closer to your partner, doesn't matter. They're both resources for you guys to utilize. And that goes from everything quote creation, order creation and submittal, questions or concerns during the install period, you name it, you can reach out to them. They're even, going as far as meeting with your partners or meeting directly with the customers. Whatever level of support you guys want from them, they're more than happy to give to you. We also have a newer type of position. I and my counterpart, Susan Graham, are support for your channel. Everything from trainings like today, portal integration, another point of escalation, really just here as another layer of support. Now our leadership, Paul Masters, VP of Partner Sales. He of course came from Earnest Communications and does an outstanding job with this channel. Brad Smith, VP of Partner Development. Pictures go in order. Well, no they don't. Greg is the counterpart to Mike. Mike we've got here in the room today, running those managers. Now, let me make sure you guys are nice and clear with our process for creating orders and getting our customers installed. So we've created 2 levels where we scrub all of our orders. The first level is through your sales support. That team is in Emporia, Kansas, led by Rachel Claiborne. She's outstanding. Manages a team of 7 people dedicated to the indirect channel, and that's growing to 10 people by the end of the year. So they do everything from initial order scrub to quote creation. That's really your sales support channel. So once we have an order completed, it goes to Rachel Claiborne's team who does an initial scrub of the order. If there are any missing pages to the agreement, any questions on the build sheets, any clarifications that we need, that team is going to work with the partner and the channel manager to get any of those clarifications nice and done before we actually send the order over to corporate. So the second layer is order assurance in the corporate office. And they'll do the final scrub before they actually create the PSRs and get the install running. Now, if there's ever an issue in corporate for the order assurance, there is a 5-day window where we need to get any of those questions addressed. Otherwise, we start over, back to step 1, resubmitting the order new. So that's why we've got the first level sales support that will catch any errors that we've got without having to go through a whole corporate process of deleting the order and starting again. So we really like this process. It works really well for our partners having that first level through sales support. Now there are some special considerations. You've got your typical order that I just described. And once it goes through the 2 levels of scrubbing, then we've got your PSR. It's very task-based driven in our ERP ICE. So there will be, a dozen or so tasks that need to be done one by one or simultaneously before the order is actually activated. Now, that may be done by different departments, different people inside the departments to get all those tasks done. But if you have an order that's more than 200 in MRC, 2,000 in MRC, or if it has hosted PBX on the order or hosted apps on the order, we're going to take that through a more individualized process. You're going to have one project manager through the entire install who's the single point of contact on that order. So, obviously our larger deals, we're going to give another sort of white glove service for their install. And that makes it easier for you guys to communicate as well. Then the other consideration is anything that's got hosted PBX on the order, MPLS, or cloud apps. There's going to be an additional call in that install process where a design engineer goes through all the minute details. Say for hosted PBX, we want to know, do they have an overhead paging system that needs to tie into this? Do we have the call flow down, who the main telephone number rings to, who it goes on from there? So all those minute details are covered in a design call, post-order submit. This is the contact information for Rachel Claiborne's team. This 877 number is a number for partners only. So it's not a customer-facing number, but it is a number that you guys can reach out to. Say you need, questions on an order that's halfway through install. You can call out to that. You can write to sales support at birch.com and copy the channel manager that's on the order, or you can just reach out straight to the channel manager. We want to give you guys, enable you to have as much control over this process, as you would like. So it's really a new day at Birch. We have been doing a lot of moving and shaking. We've been making a lot of changes, and we're here ready to talk to you guys about what that means for you guys today. So we have replaced a lot of people in our leadership roles. In order of importance, Grant Williams, he's our new VP of Customer Care. Last week in Atlanta, I spent several days meeting with leadership, learning about what they've changed so far, what their roadmap is through the end of the year, and it's all good things. So we got Grant from Fusion, and he's already identified a lot of the gaps that we had in customer care, like the level of training we had for our level 1 support. They were transferring on a lot of calls. So sure, we have onshore customer support and we answer everybody's calls in under a minute. But if you talk to one person who just transfers you on to another department, well then, how convenient is that for you? So we started with a lot of tier 1 training so that we can answer a lot of those questions on the first call without having to transfer them over. We also brought back sales coordination. Jeff Newsom is running that team, and that is the dedicated project manager, if you will, for any hosted PBX orders and any other products that go along with that customer. So that if you have a deal that's fiber and hosted PBX and an app server, that has one project manager for the entire install. And that customer onboarding experience has improved greatly, as opposed to a task-based system where they're speaking to a different person inside the company every time. That's okay for simple orders, but not so much for our complex orders. Kristen Ricci, service delivery. We've already seen our hosted PBX provisioning cut down 70% in the last 3 months since we took her on board. And she is all about automation, getting all the hands out of the cookie jar for our activations to speed up that process. Time to market is so important here. And then Kerwin is heading our product management. Robin Addison came from Pier 1. And she is doing a lot to revolutionize our data center products. They're still available as is today. It's still an outstanding product, but a lot of that still is about automation. So instead of an app server taking 3 weeks to get up and running for your customer, it should be auto-provisioned so that by the time you're done submitting the order, those resources are provisioned and available to the customer. So we'll see a lot of good things there moving into 2016. Desiree Lemons owns our access. So all of our different dedicated internet products, our DSL, and she's even looking into some newer access types for us. So always improving that footprint, right? Getting more opportunity by being available in more buildings. So we're enterprise class. We are partnered with the above logos for our data center. So any of our hosted applications, even our hosted PBX, those live in Birch-owned data centers. Hosted apps are in Las Vegas, Nevada, or Louisville, Kentucky. Those typically are chosen by wherever your customer is closest to, for latency. But they can choose that. They have control over where their data lives, which is huge for a lot of clients.
Where are your data centers?
Louisville, Kentucky, Las Vegas, Nevada, for hosted apps, like running QuickBooks in the cloud. And then our hosted PBX, those data centers are Dallas, Texas, and Atlanta, Georgia. And a big separator for our hosted PBX is that we provision all of our customers in both of those data centers. So we have active deployment. If Dallas burned down tomorrow, 100% of our hosted voice customers are going to be up and running in Atlanta, and vice versa.
Repeat that one more time so you
Active deployment. That means if I'm a customer, I've got 10 seats, I have a phone system in Dallas and in Atlanta.
or is it Dallas and Atlanta?
Yeah. So for that uptime criticality, that's a really important consideration from a service provider. Some of them do that, but not a lot of them. Our hosted PBX is on the BroadSoft platform. We have several handset options for Polycom handsets. They can buy them outright from us. They can roll that into 24 monthly increments, pay them off with their MRC. They have a rental option, which is the cheapest per month, but they never actually own those handsets. And we have a BYOD option, bring your own device, so that if the customer already owns IP handsets, we have an approved list that's available to anybody on birch.com. And if it's not on that approved list, we'll even send it up to a team to see if we can get that handset type configured with our services. So we're really trying to work with customers, however that is, to make it make sense for their company. Now, Dan, I didn't mention earlier, but Dan is an engineer with the company. So, any kind of high-level, complex MPLS or just design pieces for your orders, Erica or Jason. Jason's in the room now, back there with the sunglasses on his head. So either of them can loop in Dan or any of our other engineers as well to help make sure we are quoting the right solution for the customer the first time. This is a picture of our current network map. So we have 31,000 fiber route miles that we've laid out, and we've connected 708 fiber buildings to those rings. So all the way to the customer's suite, it's Birch's fiber through and through. But obviously, to grow with that strategy, it'd be a millennia from now that we finally had nationwide availability. So that's why our partner agreements are so important to the customer, to be able to reach high bandwidth to as many businesses as we can. And we're constantly growing that number. This is a more friendly to the eye map that shows where we can reach what products. So POTS lines nationwide, and I'll talk about those momentarily. Bring us all your POTS lines. But high bandwidth, so all of your red dots here have fiber or Ethernet over copper. All of the green has just fiber, either through carrier grade fiber to the suite or hybrid fiber coaxial, which I'll describe in just a second. And then the blue dots, that is our T1 backbone. Obviously, we can do MPLS anywhere there, but this is what we're constantly growing, trying to get red and green dots to as many major cities as possible. All right, so I mentioned on our network we have 708 buildings. I got the pleasure to meet with TCG, a few of you guys, just a couple months ago, and announced that day that we had lit 21,000 fiber buildings on the AT&T network, and that was in 2 cities. So since then, last week, we announced that we've released the AT&T network availability in all 22 states. So nationwide, anywhere AT&T has a fiber building, we can quote that and we can sell that. And we've got really great pricing there, and obviously a really great comp plan to back it up. We've also created a new partnership with Time Warner Cable on their hybrid fiber coaxial product. Has anyone heard of HFC? Nice. Pretty good. I hadn't until they made the announcement, so I had to do some research. But this is kind of comparable to Ethernet over copper, where we're connecting the customer's suites to the fiber rings via the cable company's coax. But unlike giving a quote for cable to your customer, this is dedicated symmetrical internet. So if they're purchasing 10 megs on hybrid fiber coax, they're getting 10 megs download, 10 megs upload. And it comes with the service level agreement. So it'll give you a little bit more confidence speaking to your customers and a little greater level of support post-sale.
That was going to be my question.
The SLA, so important. It's so important.
Because one of your competitors doesn't offer an SLA on that product.
So we are we're brushing, obviously with these new partnerships, we're brushing up all of our service level agreements to make sure that they're going to honor each of our products, but it will be backed with the service level agreement that promises X amount of uptime, mean time to restore, latency, so on and so forth.
Who is Zayo?
Who is Zayo? So Zayo is an interesting kind of provider. We partnered with Zayo to build out our 31,000 route miles. So they're very much a, what would you describe them, more like a wholesaler? I think they probably have some direct customers, but those are all like 1 gig pipes. But so they're a very much a wholesale partner that extended our reach as well in all of these major cities. Comparable, I guess, to a level 3 or something. So in total, we have, 393,000 buildings nationwide that we have high bandwidth available to. All dedicated, symmetrical, and backed by a service level agreement. So we're really excited about these developments that have just been over the last couple of months. This is an example of what that hybrid fiber coaxial, from now on I'm just going to call it HFC, okay? That HFC has really great pricing to compete against cable, but again with more upload speed and with the service level agreement. 2x2, I would sell a 2x2 HFC circuit over a T1 any day. 25% more bandwidth, it's $249. So it's also like $100 cheaper than a T1. And 5 megs around $425, so that's comparable to like a 6 meg EFM quote. And 10x10, $549. So in the HFC, we've got 3 bandwidth options. Now on AT&T or Zayo buildings, we can go all the way up to 100 and pass that up to a gig. So lots of bandwidth options for you guys. And how do we know what we can quote your customers? We've got a great tool that we've been enhancing called the BAT, Building Access Tool. And it gives you a lot of really powerful information. You enter in an address in one field, and it will give you the bandwidth access type, if it's T1, EFM, HFC, or fiber, the speed availability for that product, even the supplier. So we know when we're quoting you who we're getting that bandwidth from. It also gives you the price and the install time frame for those suppliers.
How accurate is it?
Sorry?
How accurate is it?
It is pretty accurate, I would describe it today. So we are going to release it out through the Birch Central portal. So anyone who's got a Birch Central login will be able to access this as soon as we get it extremely accurate. So there are still some bugs, some things we're working out. It's only been launched for about 2 months now. And once we have that, we put a fine-tooth comb through it, then we're going to release it out to the community so that you guys can actually qualify those accesses on your own. Find out if it's a good opportunity to bring in Birch, and then bring in your channel manager, if that's how you want to work. If you just want to send addresses to Jason and Erica all day, do that. Do whatever works for you. But this is going to be an example. It also gives you some high-level quoting or qualification abilities. So you could type in a zip code and find all of the buildings that we've got high bandwidth in for that zip code, or do a street on a zip code and find all of them there.
Eric, 1 second. Just to make sure, a lot of you guys have sent quotes in to us, and we've gotten back false qualifications on it where it says we couldn't do it, but then we ran up the flagpole internally with AT&T. It took a couple of weeks. We found out afterwards we actually could do it because it was a Tier 1 building. That BAT tool, as it stands right now, is not 100% built out on either side. This is a brand new relationship for us, and it's a brand new relationship for AT&T. So our engineers and their engineers have been working side by side for about the last 4 weeks, trying to get their arms around, the 200,000 plus buildings that we're going to have access to. As of now, we're supposed to have all the Tier 1 buildings loaded in there. Tier 1, Tier 2 are on the way, but there is a list that we have, a master list of all of the buildings. So my recommendation to everybody in the room is that if you want to run through it initially on your own, that's great. But just to make sure that the information is accurate, send me or Erica and I an email, and we'll get over to sales support and get it qualified properly for you guys.
Quotes we've already sent you did check against that list?
When did you send the quotes? How long ago?
Like a week ago?
Yeah, recent ones we checked. In fact, I double checked a couple that you sent in, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Just making sure.
Yeah, there's an internal resource that we have that is basically a liaison with AT&T's team.
Right.
And so as, like say for example, I got a couple yesterday from TCG that came back negative. I sent them over to her, about an hour later it came back, well, these are actually, one's a tier 2, one's a tier 3. We can't sell tier 3 yet, but we can sell tier 2. So we're able to get pricing out there.
Well, Erica's doing the checking for us, so that's good.
Yeah.
And I do very cool.
Yes. So like I said, this tool, we want to let you know that it's out there, that we're developing it, but it's not accessible to you guys today. So today, keep sending them all to your RCMs. But it'll be a good tool for you in the future. So this is an example. I typed in one address, pulled up these search results for that single address. We had everything from HFC, EFM, T1 service to fiber. And as you can see, this fiber, 100 megs fiber access type, and the supplier is Birch. So you know right here who it is going to be serviced from and what the pricing is going to be. For the 708 buildings that we own, obviously we have an incredible margin on those 708 buildings, and we're giving incredible pricing there. So 100 megs on our fiber building is $524. Obviously, every time you have a customer in one of our fiber buildings, it's totally going to make sense to put them on our fiber. All right, as for the rest, so here is an example, a pricing table for those 708 buildings that are our fiber buildings. Those are located in LA, Denver, Atlanta, Chicago, DC, Dallas, and Houston. So no Miami market for our fiber, but that's okay, we've got AT&T here. But any, out-of-state quotes that you guys get, check to see if we can service with our fiber buildings. It's good fun. This is our standard pricing for AT&T level 1 and 2 buildings. So as Jason mentioned, level 1 is almost all integrated into our BAT, and level 2 is on the way, but they do all have standard pricing. $750 for 10 megs, all the way down to $21.99 for a gig circuit. Yeah, so these are standard pricings for 3-year. We have not developed standard pricing for 2 and 1 year agreements yet. So we would just have to send it up the wire to get confirmation of what we can quote. But you always can quote 2 and 1 year agreements as well.
And we do have promotions available on top of these prices as well. So,
Yeah.
so we can reduce that even more than what it is right now.
Another reason to just always work with your channel manager, because there may be promotions that we can add on top of the pricing listed in BAT that they are going to know about.
What about 60 months?
We don't do longer than 3-year agreements, so no 5 years.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. You know how much this is what I did
How
so.
it changes.
You know how much it changes over 5 years? Why do you want to sign a 5-year
Just out of
agreement?
curiosity.
How does your product differ from ACC Business's 10 meg at 524 that's an AT&T product?
With our
My team?
promotions, yeah, with our promotions, it does actually come out around that. So right now, the promotion this month is 2 free months of service within the first 6 months. So when you amortize that savings, it does level out to be about that as well. So it depends on what the customer's goal is. I mean, we could probably work with that if you need to make the monthly less. Really, we've seen that our customers appreciate having those 2 free months of service right in the first 6 months over top of having just the flatline lower rate. We also have a couple other promotions that are out right now too, so they might incentivize you as well to help assist with that process for them. But it's on, let us know when you have an opportunity and we'll share with you what the promotions are at that moment. The product itself is very similar, of course. It's the support level that they'll get. So obviously with Birch, we're aiming to support that customer to the best of our ability. And I'll let you get a little deeper on the support levels in a minute, but there's some really high points as to the Better Business Bureau and how they rated us and our accreditations with them. And I don't think that, what was the other company that you mentioned? ACC, okay. Yeah, like
I don't know then.
It's
They're
connected community.
They don't carry that rating that we have though. There's only 3. We're one of them.
Yeah, so we do have that A+ rating, Better Business Bureau. Also just supporting the partner community and your commissions, it's going to make sense to look at a quote through us as well. I didn't mention, but anytime fiber is involved, you always run the risk of having a riser extension fee, which typically comes out post-sale. So extending the demarc to the customer's suite is nothing that we want to lose business on. So on any fiber building, we can cover up to $2,000 for that riser extension fee. We just want to bring our people in to do that. So if that ever comes up, work with your channel manager and we'll waive up to $2,000.
So you mentioned it's post-sale, but wouldn't they come do a site survey still?
Right, so it's at the site survey that we would discover that there will be a fee
Okay,
involved,
so it's
which
not
is
like
after
signing
you
an
turn
agreement
in.
And then all of a sudden
No.
they're, okay.
Yeah, it's during that site survey.
Okay.
So, you know, we hate that, but there's really not a lot we can do to make it go away. So the best option is to help cover that for the customer. And then our intro to high bandwidth, I like to call this. You know, T1, it serves its purpose. Not everybody has high bandwidth available, but we are, you know, staying competitive in the industry on those prices, around $350 for a single T1. We also have Ethernet over copper in the 14 major markets, your NFL markets around the United States. That's distance sensitive, so it's another thing that we qualify in the BAT to find out how much EFM or EOC we have available to that address. And then your hybrid fiber coax. So this today is available in all the major cities in the California and Texas markets. So it's a good competitor to the cable, a good replacement option for T1 access when it is available. And all of that's qualified in the BAT tool. Everyone cool on our network access? Any questions so far? Excellent. So we're excited. Almost 400,000 buildings that we have high bandwidth to, and that number is just going to keep growing. We have an incredible file storage solution for our customers. This is something that you guys can sell standalone as the only product on the order, or it's really easy to tack on to any network or voice solutions. This is comparable to your Dropbox and your Google Drive, but really made for business. So this product lives in our Birch-owned data centers. We developed it, we host it, we manage it. And it gives a lot of benefits beyond what your consumer-grade file storage products have to offer your customers. So I always ask, you know, every time I'm meeting with somebody, do they use file storage today? Do they have a file server on site? Do they use Dropbox, Google Drive? And if the answer is yes, then it's always a great opportunity to look into this product. Pricing is really simple. The base package is designed around your small business, 5 users, and 250 gigs of storage. And then you add users and you add storage on top of that. And we also have an enterprise version that's outstanding, that we've been winning a lot of really big enterprise deals on. And I'll come back to that in just a second. So I mentioned this lives in our SOC 2 3 data centers. This has 256-bit encryption in transit. So a lot of our competitors are only encrypted at rest, and we encrypt in transit, big separator. We have individual and shared folders. You know, you guys know how file storage works. But on an administrator level, you have granular device level access. So if you terminate an employee, you can take them off of the environment with the click of a button. You also have full audit logs. So you can see who shared what file when, if they downloaded it locally, if they sent it off to somebody else. So full access into what's going on with your company information. We can geolocate these items based on the IP address that accessed it. My best example for that would be you terminate an employee, they go home, they start pilfering all of your information, and you can take that to court with that IP address and win that case. All the safety measures that you guys know about, time-limited sharing down to the second. You can set passwords on files, so you send a link to a file, but they need the password to access it. And unlimited version storage. So the admin can see all the versions that have been changed, same file name, it just has a different date and time stamp. And that storage, the unlimited versions, doesn't tack on against the storage that they're paying for. So they're paying for the single file space, if you will. And unmetered bandwidth into this environment. Now we've got our standard, and if we have time, we probably won't, but more than happy to do WebExes with you guys to train more in depth on any of these products. But our standard, the URL has Birch in the file name. The cloud drive icon on the desktop is the Birch logo. It's our color scheme, greens and blues on the web-based version. But if you want to pay $200 extra per month on top of your users and storage, then we'll take the company's logo, the company's color scheme, and we'll brand everything to that company. Basically white label it and look like that enterprise developed and hosts this themselves. So it'll be their company name in the URL, their logo on the web version and on the cloud drive on their desktops. Really, really cool. It also has Active Directory integration, so simplifies the IT staff's user burden, if you will. Everyone cool on TCFS? Any questions? It's an outstanding product. So TCFS and TCPBX, outside of network, these are our two main sellers. So our hosted PBX, I already mentioned, we own and operate those data centers. It's our engineers that are supporting that product. Everybody is deployed in both data centers, so active deployment, high availability of the phone system. In the 4 years we've been doing this, we've never had an all customers down. I know one of our competitors specifically in the past year has had 2 all customers down for more than 2 hours, which is not anything you want to do in the hosted voice world. It's really easy to quote. You need to know a few things. And if it gets to 10 or more employees, maybe bring in the engineer before you try to quote it. We need to know how many seats are on this environment, your users, your conference rooms, your lobby phones, every single seat, you name it. Then we need to know which ones are metered and which ones are unlimited. So $27.99, we give unlimited nationwide calling. And for your light users, we give 250 minutes metered outbound calling anywhere. So whether that's down the street or halfway across the nation, it counts towards those 250 minutes. So that's the seat portion. Then we would need to know hunk groups, basically. How many main telephone numbers do you have? It's $5 per main telephone number. Tack that onto the seat cost. And then handsets. So do they have their own? Do they need to rent them, purchase them outright, or put them in 24 monthly installments? And you've got yourself a quote. So we have $120 per location install fee, but if you guys are like me, I always start on a 3-year agreement, and then I work my way down from there. If it's a 3-year agreement, then there's no install fee. If it's 2 or 1 year, if it's 2 locations, it's going to be $240 to activate. No individual handset activation charges or anything like that.
So a couple questions. So
Yes.
if it's a 3-year, the lease to own option is still only over 24 months or 30?
Yeah, so they would have a higher bill for their first
Okay.
2 years, and that bill amount would drop on their third.
the
And they
third.
own their phones outright. We do not lock phones. Our customers own them. We don't brand them to our company, so it just says Polycom on them. All those sorts of benefits to the customer.
So second question, so now somebody comes out to do the install and it's $120, or you guys charge an activation fee if it's less than 3 years? Just so I understand, you guys have somebody to do installs, or?
So a tech will come out. They will, all right, let me walk you through the install process. So if they're purchasing the phones through us, then it's really simple on the customer. All the phones are pre-configured before we ship them out to the customer. A tech will come out, unwrap the boxes, put the phones on the desk. And for one phone, kind of train the trainer, make sure they know how to place calls and take calls and put them on hold and transfer. And then we are in the middle of developing a whole bunch of videos. So right now we have PDFs, quick reference guides on the different features. Because as you guys probably know, even if you give them a 3-hour, drinking through a fire hose session, they don't retain any of it. So it's really as you need the features, where do I go to find out what to do with that? So right now we have PDFs, and we're creating a lot of really cool 2-minute videos on any of the features as well. That'll be developed, I think, by the end of December for our customers to access through their Birch Connect portal.
So I'm just curious, 120 per location, that
Could
could be
be
5 seats or
500
50
seats. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so really, really simple activation charges. That wasn't always that way. There used to be a location charge and an activation and a per handset. Yeah, none of that. And if it's on a 3-year, it's all free. Good questions. Yes?
What is the 30% discount discount with or without Birch?
Oh, I almost forgot to talk about the promotion.
That's not.
Thank you. So we have an amazing promotion right now on hosted PBX, 30% off. So that doesn't include the phone numbers, but it includes all the seat charges. So that $27.99, 30% off of it. Same thing for the metered seat, with or without Birch data. So if it's an opportunity for us to quote any of our data connections as well, then 30% off applies to that data connection as well. Really great promotion. Right now it's through the end of November. I'm sure Birch is like every other provider. Our corporate tells us 1 month at a time what our promotions are. Granted, we've had this promotion going on for several months, but
It could end it.
so far through November, yeah.
Is that 30% for the 3 years, basically?
For 3, 2, or 1.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm not mistaken, am I? Yeah, that's right. Sounds too good to be true. I gotta check myself. So yeah, that's on any term. All right, I think I covered all these for you guys. Now on any of these Birch Link dedicated symmetrical data connections, one more time, EFM, T1, HFC, and fiber. This is our service level agreement on all of those products. 99.99 core uptime availability, 4 hours mean time to restore service, less than 55 milliseconds latency. Now let me say, the big value add for quoting data and hosted PBX through Birch, since we own the network and we own the phone system, if they purchase both through us, we can guarantee 100% quality of service on their voice calls. So it's a big separator from the Ring Centrals and the 8x8s of the world. Now we will sell it over the top, if we can't get their data, if they've got higher access from another carrier or they're locked in an agreement, that's fine. We'll do the only PBX portion, but then it's best effort. We also have a performance guarantee. So I don't think a lot of guys are doing this, but if there is a chronic issue in the circuit for the customer, we have, 1 month to try to resolve the issue. Obviously, the best answer is for us to fix the problem and keep the customer on our service. But if they've given us 1 month to try to resolve the issue and we are still falling short on this service level agreement, we're going to null and void the contract and let them find another carrier. So we're all about happy customers right now. And this puts a lot of faith behind our services, putting this performance guarantee in our master agreement.
Can you say that again?
Yes. Chronic issues. If they report an issue to our help desk and we have 30 days to try to resolve that issue. So let me give an example. You guys all know T1. Some areas are just bad copper. And if we're failing to deliver that T1 to them, we're going to let them out of the agreement. Give us 30 days to try to fix the problem. But obviously in a scenario like that, we're not going to fix the problem. It's a chronic issue and we'll let them out.
So like a wet line issue here in South Florida, for example.
Yeah.
You've got wet lines somewhere, and obviously when we get an influx of rain, the lines are giving problems. If we can't fix it, we can't get it, replaced, restored, then we're going to let them out of the agreement for it. We're not going to make them suffer through it.
Yeah. So the expectation, obviously, to set with the customer is first they're going to try to fix the issue. Let's put in the help desk ticket. Let's give them 30 days. But if we can't, honor that that service agreement, then we're going to let them out of it.
Is that repair, is that from when the customer first starts? Or what happens if he's got a problem 6 months, a year into the contract?
So this is for the life of the contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
So any
But the
time-
mean time to restore, the 4 hours, that does start with the minute that they put in the help desk
That's
ticket.
it. But what I meant was the performance guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
Is it from the beginning when the customer first starts? Or does it matter during the course of the contract?
It starts, the 1 month time period starts from whenever they report that issue. Yeah, but so if it's 6 months into the agreement and then they report, we've got 30 days from that time that they call in. But that's really huge. We're putting a lot of confidence behind our product. All right, our newest product, still in beta testing, and this is our SIP Connect. So we're letting our partner community know about this. We are taking large opportunities right now. It hasn't been fully productized yet. But here in South Florida, Dan, can you give me a number? Because it just keeps growing.
Yeah, we've got some rather large
Some
Right now,
big,
it's
big, big deals.
limited to, the metered services.
Mm-hmm.
About the beginning of the year, we should be releasing the unlimited.
Yeah, so we're really excited. Standalone SIP trunks, either unlimited or metered. Right now, our beta customers, some of them are as large as like 37 grand in MRC. They're all on the metered package today. But we are testing, our acceptable use policy, and we fully intend on releasing this to the public at the beginning of the year. So we're really excited. Obviously, we have our traditional integrated voice services on any on-net dedicated internet access. So your SIP, your PRI, your analog. And we do dynamic allocation of voice. Someone cut me off if you guys already know this. But you don't have to buy a full PRI with us every time. We can do 12 PRI capacity on a 10 meg circuit, and we only pull out that bandwidth for the voice as the phone line's being picked up. Cool. POTS lines. They haven't gone away yet. So there's so much money out there in POTS lines, and we are one of those service providers that is still happy to take your POTS line business from your 1 and 2 line opportunities all the way up to your multi-location nationwide franchises. So that's where we really, really, really excel, in those nationwide POTS deals. We have nationwide coverage. Even in your, I call them JOD areas, I don't know if that's politically correct, but in jeopardy of death, where you've got this mom and pop, telecom company, they're the only company that can service that customer, down in South Texas. If that's the case, for our larger nationwide deals, we'll even do what's called Birch Managed, where we'll take the bill from that mom and pop shop, integrate it into our Birch portal, where they've got consolidated billing and service tickets and trouble tickets. We manage all parts of the opportunity for that customer. So when you're talking about these big POTS deals, we do a lot of white glove service for them. Paul Masters, our VP, his team kind of manages all this. They do a full line audit, so it's the most detailed Excel spreadsheet that I have ever seen. That gives them an audit of every phone number, what hunt sequence they're in, if it's a DSL line, every feature on every line, and delivers that back to the customer. It's probably the best audit that a big nationwide company will ever have on their POTS lines. We'll also walk them through, a strategy for implementation, how many you want to do per day or per week, so on and so forth, to get them moved over. So any big deals, we're really going to manage that customer, better than a lot of our competition would be.
And we have some really great promotions on POTS lines
Yes.
right now too. So just something to think about if you have an opportunity, a large multi-location POTS line opportunity. Right now, we're giving away 2 free months of service. So that's another bait you can put out there as you're trying to approach those customers.
Absolutely.
Sorry, do you have an idea of what the regulatory fees run on top of that? Sorry.
So the great news is these pricings that you're going to get back from your channel manager, they're going to include all fees except your local and state tax. So another big separator from our competition, you may have heard it in the past. You quoted me $40 for this line. Why is it $55 before tax? We don't have any junk fees. We keep our fees per year the same, no fluctuation in their MRC. The only added cost is your state and local tax, which is very minimal. Same thing for you guys on getting paid out on these. It's very predictable on a Birch order to know what your commission's going to be on those lines. So for value lines, this is a stripped voice line. It doesn't come with call waiting. It doesn't come with any area calling except local calling. This is your emergency line for your fire lines, your elevator lines, and your security lines for those old security systems. That on average is $36.95. So that would be the fee on the customer's bill outside of taxes. Very predictable. Then you subtract $7 or so on that number, $36.95, and that is what you're getting paid commission on. Very predictable to the customer and to you guys. And we even have some added promotions that I'm going to discuss at the very end.
Are you allowing, let's say a customer's got an alarm line, a fire alarm, and an access control line. room to mix and match the value in the essential on the same bill?
You can mix and match on the same bill. Absolutely. So whatever makes sense to be the value, the cheapest stripped down line, let's put them on a value package and save them some money. And then, you know, any voice calls, those would always be essentials because that comes with all of your standard features, you know, for a POTS line. All your call waiting and call forwarding and hunk group and all of those features. Did I answer your question completely? Yes, you can mix and match.
You said something about the commission we get paid is on the price of the line without the government fees?
Correct. Is it $7? Is it $8? Is it the same on every line? $8.50. Perfect. Straight from the horse's mouth. So you'll just take that number that's on their quote, whether that be $36.95 is your average cost for a value line. $39.95 is your average voice line cost. Subtract $8.50, that's what you're getting paid on.
What's the overage rate on LD on the essentials?
On the essentials line, it's 4.9 cents per minute. And another important consideration, so if they've got 5 lines in a hunk group, you take 1,500 minutes times the 5 lines. And those are all pulled together by the address.
I see VoIP to POTS conversion. How
Yes.
often do you guys do that? I mean, usually you see the other way around.
You know, keep me honest, but isn't that a lot of the cable companies? If we're converting POTS from a cable POTS, it's actually a voice to true POTS
Gotcha.
conversion. So that's where you'll see it.
Can you say that again? So if we have Comcast
Yes.
customers
Mhm.
and we convert a line, it's a $139 conversion fee
Correct.
per line plus $65 a line going
Yes.
forward.
Yes. So that conversion is going to be a little trickier. It also is a longer install time period. Your typical POTS lines will install in a couple of weeks. VoIP to POTS conversion is about a month. But always, always, don't let these upfront fees ever lose business for you guys. We have 2 months free we can tack onto it. We don't mind getting creative. You know, we'll send it up the ladder if we've got to make it make sense for the customer to
Yeah,
move.
we need to do special pricing to include that on a, you know, a larger type deal, larger being 50 lines and above. Certainly we can work with that and look at margins and do whatever's
Is
necessary.
that like an AT&T UVerse line also?
Is it like, are we flexible?
So, well, it would be Comcast or AT&T UVerse digital, any digital
Yes.
line that's converted back to POTS.
Correct.
So that's the per line fee, and that would only be on brand new POTS lines, like new business, or that VoIP to POTS conversion. So if you have 5 voice lines, that from Comcast, that would be $139 plus 65 times 5.
For an install.
And that's where we don't want to lose business on install.
For an install.
Let us know what we got to do.
Install, moving forward is $39.95.
The 39,
Right,
yeah,
right.
that's your MRC. You got it. So the bottom, these are all NRCs.
Are those fees
Upfront costs.
commissionable?
The NRCs are not commissionable.
So,
Non-recurring charges.
Hmm.
you guys are really good at the POTS, environment, but I have to ask a couple of questions because I had a couple of challenges on one of the orders.
Okay.
A couple of the orders I did. So to better help understand, when you put a POTS order in to convert AT&T copper lines, you're going to save the money. You're going to use Birch. Why did the AT&T tech show up at the site for the customer? And 2, where is the follow-up emails telling the partner that the conversion has actually happened? Because my partner was following up weekly to find out, has it happened? Has it happened? And then we were confused about why the tech showed up on site. The customer actually turned away the AT&T tech, which caused even more confusion.
Right.
So can you just explain what that process is?
Yes. So a lot of that is these leadership changes and the processes that we're defining further to get conversation with the partner on where the order stands. Also to be able to jump ahead of that tech so that we can, notify the customer that they're coming. Now, I don't know where we stand on those things. We may have to get further clarification from those new leaders, Kristen Ricci. But why a tech would show up from AT&T? So we have 6 different suppliers for POTS lines. depending on where the customer is located. So sometimes it's on the BDN, the Birch Digital Network, and it's going to be our tech that comes out. But sometimes those lines are resold from AT&T, and it would be an AT&T tech that shows up. Now, if that's something that you guys want, like granular information on, your RCM knows what supplier it's coming from when we quote it.
I just think it's really important to let the customer know.
For sure.
And the partner know. I think
I've
if
been
there
there.
isn't a
I've been there
conversation
for
or a
sure.
triangle- Yeah, and the last two orders I did, they fell apart because there was no communication between the customer, myself, the partner, and Birch. And there were so many conversations around a POTS order that I had to ask, this question. So
For sure.
you are doing something about the follow-up after post
Yeah,
install?
it's something we're trying to integrate with ICE, our ERP, that says, that basically just gets better email communication is how it's going to be
All you have
for
to do is copy the
notifications.
people who submit the order.
Mm-hmm.
Because the order is submitted by the partner.
Right.
Usually, there's a contact info on the order, so it would just be really helpful to get the customer and the partner to understand the install need.
Yeah.
And just future, go forward, I'll make sure that you're tagged, and if you've got a sub-agent on that one, we'll make sure the sub-agent's tagged as well for the point of communication on the installs.
Yeah.
And it's probably just someone didn't include them on that initial distro, and we'll just need to make sure they're included on the distribution.
Yeah, and as Morgan said, Cynthia, it really was a process change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
So things have changed on the back end internally on what we do with that. So
Yeah, because you guys are really good on the POTS, and on, and I've been starting to quote the fiber product with Erica as well, and trying to dig into more fiber quotes as well. So it'll be great for that follow-up to come in. And awesome. All right, cool.
Yes, communication.
So if you're going from an AT&T to a Birch, and are you installing a new line and then moving the number over to your new line, or are you actually, which I would call UNEL, or are you doing UNEP, which is just a resale change?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it'll depend, right?
it does, but it should be either it's on our network or it's going to be a UNEP resale site, which really shouldn't require
Exactly.
an
Why would
AT&T
a check
tech to
show up
go
for
out.
UNEP?
So again, some of that is errors, either whether it was on our side or AT&T side in the order for them showing up, which they should not have in that situation. If it is our network, then yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good, great questions. Glad I got my support team here. Anyone else? Anything? Cool. All right, we've got DSL available in 65% of the United States, the contiguous 48, I should say. And so if you've got a smaller deal, or we're competing against a cable company and budget is the main concern, then let us know. We'll send it up. We can't qualify DSL like we can in the BAT, so any dedicated items we can qualify ourselves. DSL, obviously we've got 6 different tools that we look in to get their bandwidth qualified. But we have up to 75 megs available on DSL. So the two best, your 45 by 6 and your 75 by 8. Great competitors, Cineverse or Fios or cable company. And all of those have to be sent up through your RCM.
Will you deliver that with voice?
We will deliver this with POTS lines, but we won't put digital voice over this DSL.
A couple of times when I've quoted for DSL, came back with 2 different types of DSL. Would you explain?
Yeah, so we've got several suppliers. The big difference is they all come with one static or one dynamic IP address. So differences between the suppliers might be, are you going to get a static or a dynamic IP? And then there's one supplier that doesn't include a wireless router, unless you do this small upgrade, and then we'll deliver a wireless router. So the differences between, your biggest consideration is obviously going to be speed. What speed does the customer need, and what supplier fits that speed requirement? If the speeds are comparable between the 2 suppliers, then you're going to ask, does this come with a static or dynamic IP address? Which, we can train your RCMs to give you as much of that information up front as possible. But the differences are very small.
But there were two different, for lack of a better word, names.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because of the difference in the provider?
Yes. Yeah. Or the delivery. Yeah. So it's small differences. It's good that we've got the whole hand of players to be able to get good DSL qualifications in as many cities as we can. But on something like that, it might just be, too much information to you. Just give me the best one. These are our install intervals, and these are the SLAs that we are holding to today. So obviously, last year, even the first 6 months of this year, we had a huge backlog of orders. We were retraining a lot of our back-end employees, and we fell short on some of our install intervals. But we're hitting all of these today. Any POTS, that's not a VoIP conversion, 2 weeks. DSL, 2 weeks. Our Birch fiber, the 708 buildings that we've built out, those installs on those fiber buildings are 20 to 30 days. So not only is it incredible pricing, $524 for 100 megs, we'll also get it installed the same month. So that's really cool. We have built out our agreements with AT&T and Time Warner Cable and Zayo to install in 60 days. So that's really important for us as well. Before 2 months ago, we were leaning on XO, who has an extremely long install period and sometimes is even more unpredictable than what you initially quote. So we're trying to, get greater control over those intervals. And then a lot of the automation that our new leaders are looking at implementing is going to, just help out with these install intervals as well. Hosted PBX. So hosted PBX today as a standalone product. It's the only thing you're quoting. It's the only thing you're selling. We're going to quote 30 to 45 days to install that. Now we know that that's not ideal. So one of our main objectives, and we've already slimmed down a little bit, but by the first of the year, we want that install period to be more like your customer purchases their phones. We pre-configure them, we ship them out. Maybe that takes 6 days, 7 days to get to the customer's office. And on the 7th or 8th day, we're activating. So we expect to see that hosted PBX install fractionalized, at the beginning of the year. And then if it's hosted PBX with a circuit, say they're purchasing AT&T, fiber, and hosted PBX, you would take the 60 days from AT&T and add 10 days to that circuit install. And that would be what you would quote your customer predictably, because we're holding to these today. Any questions on our installs? Yeah.
So just so I have that right, if you get fiber as well as the PBX, the hosted PBX, it's 70 days, or I guess 70 to 85 days.
Yeah.
Versus just PBX, where it's right now, as it stands, 45.
45, yeah. But like I mentioned, that should be, by the end of this year, that should be dramatically different. And obviously one of my main objectives will be keeping you guys all up to date on these changes as they come down the pipe. Any other questions? Awesome.
Do you have a price list that compares AT&T with you on pricing?
On DSL pricing or their fiber, all of it?
No, just basically the POTS lines right now.
Oh, POTS lines. I don't.
We don't really have anything that we could put out like that, but we can do a cost analysis for you. I mean, if you've got information that, maybe a bill copy or anything like that, we certainly can do a cost
I
analysis
think it's
and a
about
quote.
30%, like you can see, like I've
Yeah,
seen customers
typically
about
it is.
30%, Henry, and they also offer 2 free
Yeah,
months
we're
of
seeing,
service.
the bills I'm seeing, they're going up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on pods, they order
So-
2 free months of service, right? What
Depends
months
on
are
where
they?
you are. I've
The
seen
First month?
first month, so truly their first month free,
Yeah.
and then their 6th billing
So
cycle
if you have a
free.
customer who's doing like $750 in POTS lines, which you'll see all the time, I just did them all with elevator
Mhm.
lines.
The
Save
problem,
them 30% and got them 2 free
yeah,
months.
the problem you have
And
is,
they did nothing.
I've seen them as high as $60. So what, would be nice is if we had it by region, because you have multiple offices, and you don't really have the time to go and get bills from each office to figure out with all the taxes and everything. But if we could get an idea of what the current rates are for AT&T circuits.
Well, it changes. They might be on an old rate still. So
Yeah,
that's
it
where you
changes,
have that
but
flexibility.
Still, it's good to have
We need to get through those.
a window, you know, and say, okay, you've got 84 POTS lines and you have 10 here, 15 here, 12 here. Here's an idea of what your savings should be. Can't just throw 30% out there, but if we can show 60, 45, 50, this is what we're seeing, you know.
Keep me honest, but I just want to make sure your channel's like the other channels. For any voice services, do you have to have bill copies with your order that you submit?
We don't have to.
Okay.
Yes.
Our direct, we got to hold their hand. They got to submit bill copies with
We're
all
a
orders.
right, if you want to utilize the CSR and an LOA.
Well,
And then too, I don't know if you're aware, but it's my understanding that AT&T is not paying partners on a residual basis for POTS line business.
Oh, there was
They're
no
not paying
residual,
period.
they're not paying.
Not paying
They're not paying anything at all. So, I mean, that's one more reason. You're going to support them through this transition, and you're going to be there to hold their hand, and that's how we're incentivizing you to do that. So, for the first time, they're going to have someone to hold their hand and support that product, which they've never had
And don't you
before.
make 100% upfront too? On the
There's some bonuses. There's some more things you're
Let's
gonna
talk.
learn today.
Let's talk money.
One quick thing I want to interject is that
Yeah.
if anybody's seen an AT&T phone bill recently, like their line rates are $88 per line. 97 up to I've seen $140 per line. It's a 3-line account for $400 at more.
They want those customers to get off their get off.
The buffet is open. All you can eat.
You guys include some LT Plus, the C1 too right here.
that is correct.
So they include
Ah.
some at 80 bucks a line. Here's a
I
fresh
did
bill,
though.
in case you want to see.
That's the
And
stuff
you
I
put
like to hear.
surcharges in your line.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's for sure. So I'm a huge POTS line, Birch POTS line fan. Because you do save customers money.
I'll learn you more.
That's funny. So right now we've got awesome commissions for you guys. We are paying double on any complex, dedicated internet, any VoIP, PRI, SIP, or analog. Our hosted PBX, our total cloud file storage, that cool Dropbox competitor, that can be sold standalone, or with a data circuit, but we'll give 200% on all of that. Now, POTS lines, we're going to give you a bonus by the quantity of POTS lines that you do in a month. So what tier you fall into depends on the total number of POTS from however many customers that comes from in the month. So for November, if you all together sold 50 POTS lines, you'd get a $40 per line bonus. Now for off-net, it's a little less. Of course, our margin's less, so on and so forth. But we're still going to bonus you guys.
Now, is that us individually or for TCG as a whole?
Dan?
It's a cumulative number, so we're not trying to break out what you did individually yet.
Okay.
We're paying it out. Whatever we get as an upfront, we're passing it to you guys. So
Perfect.
we're a little different than some agencies that say, oh,
That's
he only
nice.
sold 5 lines. You're going to benefit by the total volume.
That's awesome. Power in numbers. What a good practice. So we also have a special promotion just for you guys that are in the room. So we appreciate all of you guys coming out, giving us an opportunity to talk about how we can work together. And for your first order that you submit, you have a deadline through the end of December. You are also going to get 300%. So no, cumulative. 300% on your first order.
They're recording this.
So 300% on your first order, and then 200% on any orders after that. So it's important that you guys all sign in, because that's how we're going to know that you are in attendance, and we'll make sure you get credit on that.
And what happens if we've already placed orders with you?
Ooh.
We weren't in attendance then. I don't know.
I think it's starting today.
So it's okay,
Yeah. Bring it on. Give us another
no
one.
problem.
Hopefully that order will get
Oh,
kicked
wait.
out of scrubbing and you'll have to
Sorry.
resign them as.
I have to ask this because this kind of came as a surprise to me with another opportunity. But with
Yeah.
this 300%, the $27.99, for example, unlimited seat on the
Uh-huh.
total PBX, and you give the 30% discount, does that affect our SPIP?
So it would be what the contract value is.
Meaning
So if you
regular-
took off
right.
30%, you would be taking off 30% of your commission.
Right, but you still
Right.
get 300% on whatever the MRC is?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're
'cause
not
some
going to ding
carriers-
you. We're not going to like lessen this value because we gave you a discount.
No, just there's some carriers
It's gonna
that'll
be
be
dollar
like,
for
if,
dollar.
if it's standard pricing, we'll give you the spiff.
Yeah.
But once you put in that
Yeah.
discount.
I had a commission structure myself like that one day, and it
Okay.
sucked.
I just want to make sure. I wanted to put it out
Totally
there 'cause-
predictable.
So
Yeah.
just to clarify, you're gonna get your 300% on your first order through the end of January, but
No,
your customer.
December.
December, I'm sorry. Oh, it's paid at the end of January.
Paid at the end of January.
And
Paid 1
you're
month in
also-
behind.
You're also going to be able to give your customer, depending on which promotion you are, but the fiber lines, we can do 2 free months of service on those as well. So.
The 2 free months, that's our most, popular promotion right now, obviously because it doesn't take away any commission and it still helps, the objective of the customer, which is making it fit in their budget. So that's a really great promotion for them and for you guys.
No, on the months that we don't bill, you will not get paid your residual because there's nothing, the residual is based on what bills that month. It's a good point, thank you for
That
bringing
is a good point.
Are you still doing
Keep
the
me
trading
honest.
coupons that
All
they
right.
have to mail
Yeah.
and you get the credit too?
It's just
So
on the 6 month, just for the 6 months. They
90%
sign
of
something
them
when they
don't get
sign
it.
the order.
Yeah. That's all I've got for you guys. Any final wrap-up questions?